What's up? This is Lenny from Dust Bowl, and you're listening to the Dan Chan Show.
So tonight I'm joined by frontman guitarist Lenny from German thrashers Dust Bowl. How's it going, man?
It's all going good. It's pretty rainy here and pretty cold in Germany, but that's another reason to go into the rehearsal room and play some rock and roll music.
Well, that's really disappointing me because I believe you're in Bavaria, right?
Yes, we are.
Now, I cannot imagine anywhere more Christmassy in the world than Bavaria. And now you're telling me it's just pissing down with rain. That's not on. I thought I wanted snow. I wanted picture postcard. I wanted the proper picture. Santa Claus there, glass of mulled wine. And it's not that.
Everybody wants that, but times are changing.
It's true.
Yeah.
Do you get much snow?
We used to, actually. Last 5 years, maybe, 5 to 10 years. It just, if it happens now, it happened like 2 weeks ago. We had a lot of snow. And if it happens now, it's something really, special. And everybody's like, okay, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like the UK. The UK had a bit of snow now and then, but it's mainly rainy. But I live in Spain now, so that's even better. So anyway, let's get down to business. You started to release new tracks back in November. How good is it to get new music out?
Oh, wow. It feels good. Yeah, it feels good. Because, we've been in this kind of, we had this rhythm of recording an album, putting out the album, playing shows 2 years, doing the next album. And suddenly when the pandemic happened, it threw everything, apart.
Yeah.
Because we started as young kids, and from the point where we started until the pandemic, we were just 100% all in the band. It's just like, let's rehearse, let's, get out together, let's play shows, let's tour. That was all we did all the fucking time. And then suddenly this stopped. So we needed some time to be like, what does this mean? What the fuck?
Yeah.
But the cool thing is it was a really creative time, which means I wrote so much music in that time and so much songs. I learned to record, learned to produce. And so it feels like right now is the starting point of releasing all that stuff, taking everything that we learned in that time and hopefully look into a bright future of
for sure
new and fresh rock and roll and metal music.
Because you've released these tracks for the news that you're releasing your brand new album on February the 23rd called Sound and Fury. Am I right? I read this album was written and recorded during the pandemic, which you've just said. And obviously during that time, you because I believe you were quite heavy on, you recorded the album yourself, did you? You did all the work. So is that something that you learned yourself through that downtime?
Yeah. I was always a studio kid, when I grew up, my dad used to be a musician and he had a studio in the basement. So I grew up surrounded by being in the studio, actually. But we've been on the road so much, we played so many shows that we kind of and we were just, a young kids thrash band that went into the rehearsal room. We just went for it,
Yeah.
Studio was something you go into 2 weeks, you play the songs and you get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the first 3 Dust Bowl albums.
Yeah.
And the pandemic was just, I had so much time. For me, it was my first thought was okay, I can't play live right now. Let's go into the studio and I want to know everything about recording music and stuff. So, doing the Dust Bowl album by ourselves, we didn't have a label at that time. We didn't have nothing, no money. So it was actually the only way to make the new album was to do it all by ourselves.
Yeah.
And, it was a cool challenge, actually, in the end, yeah.
Did that give you more time having the pandemic because I believe your last album was it 2019, your last album? That was
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's giving you a bit of time to do it. Is that a help or a hindrance having so much time? Because you want to release it when the pandemic's ended, but at the same time, you could be tweaking too much, especially if you're doing it yourself. You can overdo it. What point did you go, right, that's me, that's it, it's done now? Or is it not finished?
No, that's a really good question. And I still, I'm still figuring out you're always learning. It's not, it's everything. That's the cool thing about music and creativity. It's always a process.
Yeah.
all the time, which means it's cool because you never stop learning. But the bad thing is you never stop learning and you never stop making mistakes.
Yeah.
So at that time, like the first thought was like, this is so different because we have so much time to tweak on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we can go crazy and be like, oh, let's get this analog thing and run all the mix through this analog thing and try this and try that. Just, you know, enjoy being open and creative in the studio. That's a cool thing, a cool way to spend your time. But you got to be careful, as you said, that suddenly you tweak so much that you lose the soul of the song.
Yeah, that's right.
Which might be a song that you just, you know, you came up in the rehearsal room and it already sounded good because you just played it.
Yeah. Because you might not get that time back again where you got that so much downtime when nothing's happening. You know, you're not going to do a Metallica and release an album every 8 years, but you want to get albums out and you're going to be more pressured next time.
I mean, you know, for me now, it feels like I was able to use that time to build up my knowledge in everything that has to do with music. So for me, there used to be this gap, you know, there was like the music I did play with the band in a rehearsal room and the thing that ends up on a record, there was like a big way between that. Yeah. And now I know that way and I know where I might have to go. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the future because now we're in a state where we can just, you know, write songs and record them, mix them and just release them constantly all the time. That's the cool thing.
Now, you're a riff guy, right? How often do riffs come into your head? Because, I mean, I'm a drummer and I'm constantly dreaming up riffs and I'm not even in a band. How inspired do you get when you're out and about? Are you jumping out of bed thinking of things? Are you driving down the road and something comes into your head? Are you screaming things into your phone? How do you contain that, you know, that inspiration?
It is actually like that. It is like that. I'm really glad the phone helps because you can record stuff whenever it happens, you know. I'm also a guy who sometimes I always have ideas when it's not a good time to have ideas because you're somewhere where you have to be silent. There's people everywhere, whatever.
In the cinema.
So sometimes take my phone and whisper. Yeah. You know, pretending to do a phone call and whisper into the phone, like really silently. And afterwards I would sit at the phone and like, be like, oh, what was that? That was, that's kind of good. Stuff like that. But the funny thing is that even though I'm a guitar player, I don't really write with riffs. I write with drums in my head.
Right. Really? Okay.
I always start with the drums. That's because I always wanted to be a drummer.
Right. Okay.
But my parents couldn't afford a drum set, so they gave me like, here's the guitar, you know. It's
all parents say that, mate. They just don't want the noise.
Yeah, true. That's probably true. Yeah,
they can afford it, then it's going to buy an expensive guitar instead. So, do you ever get the goosebumps when you're coming up with a banger? You got something you can't wait to share with the band. Does that ever like give you that kind of like adrenaline?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think that this is the only you know, marker, the only thing you have if you write or play something and you feel like, fuck yeah, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah. I mean, I get that listening to your music anyway, and I didn't write it.
yeah, but you know, then it should be good, you know. Probably if you feel it, if you get goosebumps, that's what more do you want, you know?
Exactly. Now, how much fun is it creating the music? You know, is it a serious process, or is there fun to be had? I remember asking a similar band to you, Municipal Waste, some time ago, the same question, and they had a mixed feelings. You know, it's serious, but we have a laugh doing it. How is it with you?
Wow. I think it's a mixture, but I feel that
because your music's fun, right? It's that kind of like. It's beer drinking thrash metal. That's how I see it.
No, not actually. Not for us. You know, it's way more serious than it is fun. I mean, spending time together with the boys in the rehearsal room, of course, that's fun. Yeah, but it's still actually like all the energy comes from not from a fun place. And all the time we write the album and the songs is always a time where you're like really sensitive, and you know, you spend a lot of time in your head thinking lyrics, especially on this album, Sound and Fury, the lyrics are really, really serious and emotional.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's fun working on music, of course, but it's like something you gotta do because otherwise you go crazy.
Okay, well, that leads perfect into this next question. What themes are getting discussed in your lyrics? It's a perfect segue to that question.
I never really think about themes too much. It's more like my diary.
Right.
That I also make music besides of Dust Bowl, but there's some emotions and some feelings and some stuff that I write down where immediately know this is brutal, this is so dark, this is so heavy that this has to go into Dust Bowl.
Right. Okay.
And we used to, on the first two albums, we used to take all this stuff and emotions and like still put them into those thrash metal metaphors, this typical themes.
Yeah.
Which I stopped on Trapped in Chaos already a little bit. And I didn't really do it on Sound and Fury because I was like, I don't want to hide my thoughts. I just want to say what I feel in this moment, and I write it down, and that's like, it's 100% honest.
Yeah.
If somebody says like, this is bullshit, I don't like it, I'm fair enough, but this is just what I felt in that moment. This is my song, this is my story.
Got you. Now let's go back in time a little bit. I want to get a load of Dust Bowl history. You guys were all childhood friends. How young when you all met, and how did you decide to go on this path together?
So we were 12 or 13 years old.
Right.
And I started to play guitar like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, probably. But I wanted to play electric guitar, and I got introduced to heavy music suddenly. It was the time 2005, 2006. So the time when System of a Down, Slipknot, all those stuff.
Yeah.
It still was on MTV, on the TV.
Yeah. Mm.
So if you have a older sister or older brother, then suddenly you would end up seeing masked guys screaming out of the TV. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And so I knew I wanted to make a band. And I loved the movie School of Rock. It's the best movie of all times. It really spoke to me. And I knew, okay, I want to make a band. That was for sure. So I just asked the guys who sat next to me in school. I was like, hey, can you play an instrument? And he was like, yeah, I got a bass somewhere, and I know a drummer. And suddenly we were 4 kids and just doing it. Yeah.
Wow. So it was more of a new metal scene that got you going.
We didn't think in genres, we didn't know.
No,
we didn't know.
I mean, more of your influences came from that.
Yeah. It was in the beginning. Yeah. I mean, we had burned CDs, somebody gave you CDs and you got 30 MP3 tracks on there. And I didn't know what this was. And, so I was Slipknot, Korn, System of a Down. That was all the stuff. And then another friend moved to town and he was like, hey, check this out. This is Slayer.
Yeah,
this
nice.
Pantera. And I was like, yeah, that's different. It's so different, but it's still fucking heavy, And then suddenly you kind of like figure out all the stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
And one thing that was really, really important for us as kids was we had a really strong punk scene, punk and hardcore music. So we started going to live shows, and those live shows would be punk shows for the greatest part. So there was always like metal, punk, it was all this big fucking thing that was for us just like, this is all fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. Do you think your close connection to your friends as bandmates makes the band even more productive, or does it have its problems because you've known each other for so long and come from school days?
It's hell.
Really?
I mean, it's like being married to two other guys for it.
Yeah, but that's the bond you've got. That's the bond that is a strong bond that a lot of bands don't have.
I mean, it's 16, 15, 16, 17 years now. We don't count it. I don't know. Yeah. It's more than half of my life, actually, I spent with those guys.
Yeah.
And we also spend our free time together.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but no, it's really interesting. It's an interesting thing. It would be super easy to say like, I get a professional, whatever, bass player. I get a professional musician here who does his job, then leaves. Would be so easy, but I think having this tension, having these characters in a band. I mean, it's a rock and roll band, and I feel like we can really say, we can really claim that term.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
we, like the last years, we have just been crazy, and it's just been us together against the world somehow. Yeah.
How do you feel you're evolving as a band over the years? Because, I mean, one of the tracks that surprised me was the Burning Pieces track. It's got that very corrosion of conformity sound to it, that kind of like down sound. It's something a little bit different. How is this like a genre fluid direction? Because I know you're using a few different techniques and stuff. Is that because you're doing the albums now? What's the evolution of Dust Bowl?
Yeah, at that moment where Flo, the guitar player, came up with Burning Pieces, and at that moment we just tried to free ourselves, which was really easy in the pandemic because I didn't use social media, I didn't, you didn't meet people, whatever, and we just were like, why should we overthink everything? Why should we think in genres? This is a cool song. It's fun to play. It sounds cool. It's heavy. It's got an emotion in there. It does sound different than Dust Bowl before, of course. It's not like speed up thrash metal, but the energy is still the same. The guys are still the same.
Yeah.
And when we jammed the track, we always jammed the old stuff. Then we jammed the new songs, and we felt like this actually fits together.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing is, if you play Burning Pieces and afterwards play a fucking fast song, the fast song seems to be even faster and heavier, know, and the slow song seems to be even slower and heavier. So it was that was the idea to, just not overthink it, open the minds, and be like, if we have some halftime songs, if we have some other stuff, why the hell not? Let's just go for it. Let's see what happens.
Did it feel liberating to do that?
It did feel liberating. Absolutely. Because just to remind yourself that you are the artist and you can do whatever the fuck you want. Because that was the initial goal of playing in a rock and roll and a heavy metal band, was being free.
Exactly.
Like raising your middle finger and be like, I don't give a fuck what people say and what you think of me. I do what I want.
Exactly.
And I think it was a good move for us to do this more melodic music, even if some people, there are some people who hate it and hate comments and stuff. But I think it was a good move for us to free ourselves, because now we feel fucking strong. We feel like, all right, even if we go back and do fast thrash songs now, we feel like we just do what we want.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, talking about you're from Germany, and being free. Germany's such a rock and metal country. What's in the water to create such Teutonic musical greatness? There's so many cool bands coming out of Germany. Is it a close-knit community? What's in the water? What's in the beer? Tell me what's happening.
Got to do something with the beer.
Yeah, that Bavarian beer.
It's really special. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't. It's hard to tell, but the fact that, every year that we play, we witness that there is so many small festivals, rock and metal festivals, organized by people who don't make money with this, who just do it for the love of being heavy metal fans.
Yeah.
This is so goddamn cool. That's a thing about Germany that I love so much. I don't know. You just got a lot of people who like to work, who like to make things happen, got the knowledge, of course, somehow maybe got the money or the wealth,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have a lot of people here. We have, people love rock music. Yeah, that's a really cool thing about Germany. Yeah,
for sure. So what's happening show wise? I see you've got some German dates set in February to bring in the album. What's happening after that? Are you heading around the rest of Europe, maybe the world? What's happening in 2024 for you?
Yeah, that's the plan. So we got Germany in February and March. Then we are coming to the UK in April. We do 9 shows or 8 shows in the UK. They're not announced yet, but they're coming in the next week.
Great.
Then we do a little bit Austria, then we do some festivals in Europe, and then we probably go to the US. And I think I don't plan more ahead than that.
Yes,
I think so. US is probably September, October or something.
Yeah.
And we'll see afterwards, play
Cool.
small clubs, play whatever, wherever.
Awesome. Now, regrettably, I've not seen you guys yet, so what kind of does Bolt Virgin expect from a show? I can imagine there's a shit bucket load of energy, right?
Yeah, it's really wild. It's really wild and chaotic in a positive way,
How easy is it picking set lists now? You've got more material. Has it become easier because you just use more from the new album, or how do you do it?
More fights.
Right, that's it. Yeah, that's right.
More fights within the band.
That's right.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's funny that you asked because we built a new set list, and the day before yesterday we played the new set list for the first time, and I felt like, oh, this is slowly all like, making sense and like going together. Cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you can play so many songs that you're like, if we would like to play 2 hours set, we could do it, if we say like we want to change things up in between shows and like throw out a song, add another song, we can always do that. That's a cool feeling.
Awesome. Now, you've done a lot of touring in the past. Do you have a favorite place to play?
Ooh, I love to play. It sounds weird, but I love to play in front of strangers. So I hate playing at home.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I understand.
And it's great to play in front of fans who know the songs, of course.
Yeah.
But
what about a city? When you see your schedule and you go, we're going to be playing that place, that's got good food or good drink. Where would it be?
Ooh, wow.
Munich.
Every place has its own special thing, Every place has its own special thing.
Yeah, of course.
But we're lucky in Germany. We can always go to France. France is wonderful. I love playing France because people are great. People are nice. The food is so good. It's just it's just wonderful.
These are very diplomatic answers, Lenny.
Same thing with Spain. Same thing with Spain.
Yeah, true.
And I'm really looking forward to play the UK again. So last time UK was so long ago, and I love the UK because rock and roll music started there somehow, and it's just cool to smell the air and feel the vibe and play there.
Yeah,
I don't care about the bad food.
Yeah, well, there's that as well. Where haven't you played that you'd like to play? Have you been to Japan yet? Where would you like to go?
We haven't been to South America.
Right.
Yeah, I want to go to South America.
That's wild, isn't it? Wild.
So the rule that we kind of like have is with the band is we never made holiday, like we never went on vacation or something.
Yeah.
So every country that we've seen in our lives, we've seen through playing with the band.
Right.
So the goal is to explore the whole world by playing shows with the band.
Okay. Yeah.
And South America is missing.
Makes sense. Who would your ideal touring partner be? Who would you like to go on the road with?
Ooh. I would love to play with Suicidal Tendencies because I would just love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And you guys look like you have a lot of fun on the road. Have you got a funny road story, something off the cuff that you could share with us? Something a bit wild?
There's always stuff happening. Yeah, you have stuff like your car gets, how you say, like somebody breaks into your car, steals stuff. We had a band. Somebody broke into the window. So we didn't have a window anymore, but they didn't steal any gear. That was good. So we played the show and we looked for a parking lot to park a car close to a wall because we didn't have a window anymore.
Right.
But the parking lot was not high enough. So we crashed the roof window. End of the story is we had a van with like 3 windows broken. And we had to drive home 7 hours through the rain.
Oh, God. Not so much a fun story, but a memorable one.
Yeah, and they stole all our CDs.
Jeez.
So the only CD that we had was like one CD that we listened on repeat 7 hours straight. That was really fun.
Discography. Well, I've got some fun questions now for you. You can cope with a couple of fun questions, Lenny.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could steal credit for any piece of art, song, film, book, etc., what would you claim?
The first Black Sabbath album.
Cool. If you could have any superpower, what power do you have and why?
Read people's minds.
Nice. What was the last gift you gave someone?
I think I've been to the States 2 weeks ago, and I brought how do you say it? We say Traum, a dream catcher.
Oh yeah,
Like,
like
yeah,
the native Indian thing. Yeah.
exactly. And I found a really big and beautiful one in the States in a small Mexican shop, and I brought that with me for somebody special.
Nice. Now, this is a funny one. If you could choose one song to play every time you walked into a room for the rest of your life, what song would you choose? Now, remember, you're going to be walking into doctors and
Back in Black,
Back in
AC/DC.
Black. I've had that before, actually. Can you imagine you walk into a doctor's and that starts playing? You know, it's
I mean, anytime somebody comes in the door and plays that riff, it's gonna be fucking cool.
It's gonna be cool. Finally, what's the most used emoji in your phone?
I think those horns.
Of course it is. Now, in 3 words, describe the band.
Chaos, funny, lovely.
Nice. And finally, what one Dust Bolt track should I play next and why?
You should play Eyewitness.
For sure. Why?
Why? I don't know, but if I would have to play a Dust Bolt song right now on guitar, I would start with that one.
That's perfect. Lenny, thanks so much for joining me on the show tonight. Wishing you all the best for the new album. I'm looking forward to hearing about these tours and seeing you on the road next year.
Thank you very much, mate.